Hello! Today we're reviewing Texas Chainsaw 2022, released by Netflix and distributed by Legendary Studios. Verdict, it's not great. I didn't like it. We wrote notes, and I thought it'd be a little fun fact to share that I started out writing them right side up, turned the page, they're upside down. I'm doing great. What were your thoughts on the film?
Overall, could have been better. There was like really bad death scenes. I feel like the story had a weird plot holes that I just didn't know where they went.
Have you ever seen the first one?
No. This is all from nowhere.
Well, a quick summary is from the 1970s Texas Chainsaw. It was about a family, these 3 or 4 brothers that live in Newt, Texas, but they changed it to Harlow, Texas. They just eat people. They skin them, eat them, cook them. Drayton Sawyer is the oldest brother. He would turn the meat and like make it in chili, because you had chili today.
Oh, and
at a chili cook-off, he would serve it to the people, and he'd always win. They're like, "Where'd you get the meat?" And he goes, I'm very good at picking out the meat. He goes, and it's human meat. So that's kind of like the baseline plot. And this movie says, forget all of that, let's make our own version. Apparently, Leatherface is an orphan, and he was raised by a woman named Virginia, who dies of a heart attack, and that's like the whole catalyst for the film. Which I think was cool, because we got to see a side of Leatherface like upset, and there's a reason that he wants people out of his town, which I thought was really interesting. And then your favorite death.
Oh yeah, the cop. So she dies in an ambulance, and which is like horrible for him, and he's like freaking out. And there's a cop in the back seat with him, and he just breaks the guy's arm off and shoves it in his neck, and it was pretty brutal. So
the bone part, not his hand. I think I have all of them. And I don't know what age they're supposed to be. They look like middle schoolers, but apparently they bought this town of Harlow, like they bought a whole town. And I don't know what they were planning to do with it.
Yeah.
I couldn't pay attention.
It was odd. It was like, what are they doing here? And like they came in a Tesla to an abandoned town. I'm like, where are you gonna charge it?
With all these investors that are coming apparently.
On a bus?
A party bus.
A party bus. They're like, it was weird.
It was weird. And there's this whole backstory with Lila, our lead, who survived a school shooting. And I will say this movie cut budget costs where they could, because it went because the original idea was she was supposed to be paralyzed from the injury, from the school shooting, but they changed it to like a scar wax little mold with a little indent, and that was like her injury. And the sister looks younger than her, but I guess she's supposed to be older, Melody. Oh,
the one that looks like Rizzo from Grease? Yes. Discreet. It wasn't like noticeable. Like I missed it, and she's like, oh, you missed it.
Like, oh, you missed it. And Sally's a ranger, even though she survived Newt, Texas in 1974, but then all of a sudden is in Harlow, where it's supposed to be where it all took place.
Plot holes.
Yeah, and also, a fun fact, I don't think you caught it because you never saw the original. Dante's nickname is the chef, in reference to Drayton Sawyer. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
So with Jeannie, the cop, she did seem like a badass, but I didn't feel like she
had Sally?
Sally, yeah. She didn't really have like an important role. Like she came in at the end, and it was kind of like a Halloween, you know, I'm gonna go kick his ass.
Yeah. They ripped off Laurie Strode.
I'm gonna kick his ass. I don't need a gun. Like, you know, I'm gonna lock you in a back seat of a cop car, and that always works out really well.
The funniest line I wrote down was, I think it was Richter. He's like this like good old boy, like from this Texas town. He only wants the best for the people that are left there, and he calls the hipsters a cult.
She starts having
a quick note about Melody. When that whole scene was going on, she was getting like all like creeped out.
Yeah.
By Virginia saying like, please don't take my home from me. She was being like not creepy at all. She was basically just begging these people, please just leave. I do own this home. And Melody was acting like the woman had like a knife to her or something. She was like panicking and like freaking out and backing up. I never understood that part or that acting choice, because Virginia wasn't, in my opinion, she wasn't being creepy to her. And I said the skinning effects weren't bad, but you had a note on that.
Yeah, so I felt like that was not realistic, because he skinned it.
I've never skinned
gruesome, but like he skinned it in like a whole piece, and like, okay, I killed like a deer this year, and I feel like when you're trying to like do all that, it's way harder than just like, oh, I'm gonna do it all up in one piece, and it's gonna be like look awesome. But like it was like a crazy scene, because you're watching him like skin his supposed like mom, you know.
He's wanting to keep her close.
The blondie is just watching this from like her seat in the front of the car, and she sees it in her like her rearview mirror, and was just like, oh no, like, do I play dead? I don't know.
I really wish I did realize what her name was. I never caught it.
Dumb blonde in every movie, you know?
She wasn't even dumb. She was just unimportant. Nice little throwbacks to the original. All the way like in the beginning, they were showing like old vintage footage. And some of it I could tell was from the original films. There were like little references to... So like they knew what movie they were making, but they just didn't care enough to make it a good one.
Yeah.
Which is what made me sad. Because I liked the original Texas Chainsaw.
Where is the like a little, at least hint to like where the backstory is and like why and how you got this money?
You also missed out not watching the original because the set design in the original Texas Chainsaw was so creepy because they used actual like roadkill they would bring into the set.
Really?
Bones that they found from like vultures having like eaten the meat off. And they built the Sawyer house on the inside to look like it had all these like realistic props and things which were really, really cool. I don't remember who was the set designer, but there was none of that in this version, which made me sad. But Dante's makeup was really cool. Spoiler alert, he does die. He loses like half of his jaw, but he's still alive, which makes sense because I'd say adrenaline can keep you going. But he had the coolest death, I would say, because it lasted longer. Because Richter got his head pulverized.
Yeah. Well, he like I liked who was it Richter that like he had the death scene where the door was swinging back and forth and
that was Dante.
That was Dante. So I really actually liked how they did it because it's like you can tell this movie didn't have a ton of money to like do crazy effects and like really show that it's happening. But they like swung the door back and forth as you can see him like trying to kill him or stabbing him or whatever it was. Show you what's happening without showing you.
And then even when you're not talking about the gore scenes, the scene where Sally's in that sunflower field and she finds Virginia's body, there's this beautiful Steven Spielberg lens flare shot when she gets out of the car, which I thought was beautiful.
I thought that was one of the parts where I was like, oh, that's like the perfect shot. We both said that even though I know nothing about any of this.
Leatherface has like the strength of Thor from Marvel because he like pimp slapped Melody off the stairs and she went into the basement because he's supposed to be just a guy. He's not supposed to be supernatural. I don't know where this came up, but I just wrote, God, these two are dumb. Highlight of this film, which was the one that was in all the advertisements, all the commercials, the party bus scene.
Yeah.
Oh geez, the party bus scene made me want to rip my hair out.
The main like investor lady who...
Kat.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't remember all the names of this, but she was barely not selling the acting too. She seemed just sort of like dumb and like...
Maybe the character was dumb, but she just didn't care.
Like, you know, she's watching people, she saw a dead guy, she saw Dante just die, and she's like,
is he okay?
What am I...
She asked if he was okay as he's missing half his face. She's like...
Should we hide? I don't know. I'm definitely going to be the next person to die though, because this is how every movie is.
The party bus scene gave me music video vibes because I didn't know that the new director, because it was not directed by the original guys, the brothers, the Tohill brothers, but this director primarily worked in music videos, and you can really see it, but it gave me Stranger Things vibes with the color choice. But besides that, everyone on that party bus had the IQ of the potatoes I ate for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
Because they are in a party bus that looks like it came out of 1974, and no one tried breaking a window, no one tried jumping out a window, no one decided, hey, maybe let's like dogpile this guy with the chainsaw because he can't kill all of us at once. When Kat was the final survivor, she goes to the back of the bus, right? She slides open the window. And she crawls out, but she gets cut in half. But that was when I went, you're telling me that could open the whole time? And then Sally, she's coming off like this very much Jamie Lee Curtis 2016 Halloween vibes, like badass woman's gonna like take no names, gets her insides turned into a smoothie, having like her guts rearranged.
Shooting him that way?
Yes, she shot him, but it did nothing, remember?
Oh yeah, 'cause he's like immortal like all the other...
And then there was this bit where Melody and them are trying to drive away the cop car. And it's like, okay, great, they're gonna try and get out of there finally after Sally let them get the keys. And they crash the car. Melody gets stuck with like rebar in her leg, and they have this whole scene about, I'm not mad at you anymore. I don't know why they were mad at each other.
Monologuing.
They were monologuing about death and like how they're gonna get out of this. It's like your typical cliche, you're not gonna die, yada yada, but you have to run. And I thought that was really dumb. And I said I do not care about the sisters dynamic.
Yeah.
I don't even know what their fight was about.
I wrote, girl giving up easily, monologuing. Ugh, you know, I don't know.
I also wasn't a fan of the final act's location. It's like this abandoned movie theater or something like that in town. It was just an abandoned building, and it reminded me of Don't Breathe. Don't drink that.
There was like water everywhere, which of course with the abandoned building, but they like end up shooting him, and she ends up after so much fight, she like chainsaws him in half or whatever. He falls back into like this pit of water.
I wish they would have done what they did in the 2003 Texas Chainsaw, which was the final act took place in a meatpacking plant, because that's where the Sawyers worked. And I thought that that was super cool, and I thought they could have done that with a bigger budget like this one, because the 2003 one didn't have that big a budget. And I feel like that's perfect, because they eat people. What better than a meatpacking plant to have your final act?
A combination of a lot of movies, like Halloween. You know, there were so many like scenes that really reminded like both of us of that one.
It didn't feel like a Texas Chainsaw to me.
It could have been its own thing, because there were so many good like there was a good theme to it that it could have made it a lot more of its own thing and more like memorable.
Here's a dumb question. I want to know where these hipsters, Generation Z's kids' phones were.
Yeah.
Everyone had a phone except for our two leads.
Yeah.
And they never said where their phones went.
And they never tried, yeah, so they couldn't call the cops, which could have solved most of this immediately. And they're struggling to find, like, who do we call? He's killing us, you know?
I also never understood the point of the Tesla. Yeah. Because I get the final shot was supposed to be really cool of her, like, freaking out in the Tesla as the final act, like, the final moments happen in the film. I'm not going to spoil it because they want a sequel. But I never understood what the point of the Tesla was. Don't drink that. Because it was on, like, auto drive. So they were driving super slow. And I never understood why they just didn't get the hell out of Dodge.
Peel out? Yeah, come on. Burn some rubber on them tires. I mean, more gore of like, oh, you got a chainsaw, you can totally do some damage, you know?
I would say my favorite Texas Chainsaw is the second one, because they balance comedy and gore, and it's really fun because it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's still scary.
I love the like comedy in the middle of a horror movie. You're like, okay, I can breathe for a second.
There was no comedy that hit with this one. But then again, it's not supposed to be a comedy.
There was a couple sort of jokey moments, but I felt like they were so new age that was like, I don't really get it. Like,
I'd say my favorite acting was from Leatherface and Virginia, but my favorite character was Richter. And I thought he was gonna make it further than what he did.
Yeah.
Darn it, Richter.
I did like Virginia. She had a really creepy vibe. I mean, not, you know, to be stereotyped, but she did have it going on, and she's like trying to talk to her son, and it's all creepy. Don't go in my room, be a good boy.
But he wasn't an orphan, and this is supposed to be, mind you, a direct sequel from the 1974 original. He's all of a sudden an orphan, but he had a family that Sally Hardesty herself, who's in this version, escaped from, which made no sense. And they all survived the first movie, the brothers.
For me, I don't think I'll watch it again. Yeah.
No, it's not one I'm definitely going to watch again. No.
I don't think I'd recommend it. I mean, I do like a decently gory movie just because it kind of like, you know, like the fear of it, but it could have been more.
And we were watching it together just saying like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that?
Just shoot it.
With the shotgun. I never understood why she just stood there trying to reload a gun that was obviously empty. I've never shot big guns, but I would assume a shotgun is heavy, right? It has weight to it. I don't know why she didn't throw it at him, which would knock him into the pool.
I thought he might have grabbed something that she was trying to throw at him. He didn't? Okay.
No, he just stood there like... Because he somehow like cuts the back of her ankle and she's on the ground, Lila, our lead. And she rolls on her back, she's like thinking, all right, this is the end, I'm gonna die. But the way she was laying there was kind of thinking like, what am I gonna get after work tonight?
Yeah,
I'm a little hungry. Like, she just looked tired. She just laid there like, Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. that was the thing too about the whole movie, is just nobody was selling it. Watch a million horror films and see how they react and sell it, because like the whole kind of like dumb shock thing, it didn't look well. It looked cheap. And I feel like it could have been so much
low budget.
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, I liked some of the death scenes. I definitely like when the guy gets like hammered in the face, and it's pretty brutal.
Richter? Yes. When he got his head turned into mashed potatoes?
If anybody would have lived in a realistic situation, it probably would have been him.
But don't you remember in the beginning, she's making fun of a country guy, but then they revealed, the same girl revealed that their mother was from Harlow?
I like how I did like in like the movie theater scene where it's kind of abandoned and they're trying to fight him off at like one of the last scenes, and she did use a chainsaw against him and like cut him up the center, but and that could have been so much better, but like they never check to make sure he's dead.
You always, that's what my mom taught me when I was a kid, you make sure that they can't come back.
No.
Anyway, not my favorite. If you guys have any other horror movie recommendations, please let us know. We've made a list.
Most of them Lolita has already watched, so I don't know. We're gonna have to we're gonna sort through this list.
I like
There's
my
a lot of horror
spooks.
movies,
I like
so,
my
you know.
spooks. But thank you for watching. I'm not really good at movie reviews. We're gonna try to do better at them. And maybe next time I'll take notes right side up.
Well, we'll make it. We're not gonna flip the pages around. I'm not gonna make random question marks around. You know?
But yes,
Yeah.
thanks for watching, and try to not watch Texas Chainsaw 2022.
Don't you know?